Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about balance of trade and what that is. The balance of trade is a key component of a country's balance of payments, which is the record of all economic transactions between residents of one's country and the rest of the world over a specific period. The balance of trade specifically refers to differences between the value of the country's exports and the value of its imports during the period. So it's balancing how much country exports as well as imports. Uh, I guess there are two possible scenarios for balancing of trade. The trade surplus. The trade surplus occurs when the value of the country's exports exceeds the value of its imports. In other words, exactly, a country exports more goods and services than it imports. A trade surplus can be seen as positive economic indicator, as it suggests that the country is selling more products and services abroad, potentially leading to increase of revenue, job creation, and economic growth. So overall, what we're trying to determine here, economic activity, if anything, because it's very hard to measure that. So we're gonna take all of the economic activity and we're gonna measure by local currency, right? So if we're gonna measure, so we're gonna have one measure indicator, right? So by doing that, then we can understand how the money moves within the country and what activity we have and what sectors are working, what sectors not working. But to measure all of this activity, for the reason governments need to step in and usually cause problems. If anything, business is doing fine, but governments need to measure everything, make their policies, and make a lot of adjustments and cause problems. Trade deficit. Trade deficit occurs when the value of the country's imports exceeds the value of its exports. Country is exporting less than it's importing. So all the countries need to export more goods and services than it's importing. So then it's surplus. So the country is getting richer, I guess, based on its activity and how much value that country has to offer to other countries, right? So that means that country is gathering more and more resources that could be measured by local currency. In this case, country is being more buying more goods and services from other countries that it's selling to them. What we're talking about deficit right now. A trade deficit can be cause for concern, as it may indicate that countries is spending more money on imports than it earning throughout exports. This can lead to a decrease of foreign exchange reserves, as many have various economic implementations, as well as I mentioned to you before, perhaps what currency you're doing all those activities with, right? So if you, as a country, if you're exporting or selling goods within different currencies, eventually other people would say if they will pay me whatever currency might be with euros, right? uh, then you would need to spend those euros back into my country, right? You would not necessarily be able to do anything with your euros. And I can increase prices again. So let's say I'm selling you something, I'll give you euros, but later you need to pay back me with euros, and I'll increase prices with the same euros again. So because I can do whatever I want with my euros. A lot of shady things are happening. That's what I'm saying. A lot of shady things. It's important to note that trade surplus or trade deficit is just one aspect of country's overall economic health. A country may have trade deficit but still maintain a healthy overall balance of payments, as other components such as capital flows can offset the trade imbalances. Additionally, the trade imbalance can fluctuate over time due to various factors, including change in exchange rates, shift in global demand, and government policies. So, if you have, as a country, a lot of resources that I'm interested in, I might buy some of those resources, whatever case might be, right? So, let's say you have a lot of resources, perhaps coffee, right? So not that many countries out there who have coffee. But if I will buy a lot of coffee, I want to sell some goods or services in return, not really give you money, right? Perhaps I would offer you some guns, some vehicles, tanks, armor vehicles, perhaps ammunition, whatever you might be, that my country would be able to produce, but not necessarily exchange my own money. Or if I would give you money, that money, whatever case might be, euros, dollars, pounds, sterlings, whatever, you can only spend it back in my country, right? So again, but there's some other complexities up there. Otherwise, you might hold that currency within your reserve if that's something that you, as a country, might be interested in taking measures, or as a business, from personal into professional budgets, right? So there's different ways how you can operate everything, but all the process can be very complicated. But it depends on what kind of resources you have surplus of, as well as what kind of resources you would like to sell to other countries, and what kind of contracts you want to enter, right? But something worth mentioning. Uh, for people out there who are interested in learning more about the body, I have published a book. Within this book, I'm sharing a lot of information for people out there who are interested in learning more about the body. I'm covering everything from beginning, where you should begin when it comes to working out, as well as resting periods, eating, and some of those areas that I'm covering within this book. Everything what would be required with regards to your body, training, routines, diets, different diets, whatever might work for you, as well as different training, how to progress with the training, where to begin, how to do it safely, what would be important, so you would not necessarily hurt yourself. I have been within the industry for over a decade. I have done it professional, as well as I have all the qualifications required to train people. But it depends of your fitness level and everything. So it's a flexible tool, so it would find where you are. You can find it in the description below, as well as Top Retailers has it. Economists and policymakers monitor the balance of trade and the balance of payments to assess countries' economic performance, trade policies, and international competitiveness. So there are a lot of people who are trying to measure overall different countries and how those countries are performing. But it's very tough and can be a very hard subject to do. It's just because there are way too many variables to adjust, right? So perhaps there are some software solutions out there who can measure based. I can't imagine person doing it. I can't imagine perhaps. If anything, there should be some software solutions who can measure overall output and input of the country, how what the trade would look like, and they're constantly looking for ways to improve, as well as perhaps, if anything, information on how information is being processed, collecting all the large pieces of data, as well as perhaps having different software to sort through all the data and measure performance and adjust accordingly. Perhaps that would be some of the software solutions out there that could be beneficial for a lot of governments, as well as then directing different government policies and supporting some of the markets out there. If anything, any takeaways, right? All the governments should be more self-sufficient, right? To a best degree possible. Some of the countries not necessarily have their own natural minerals, resources. I think what would be required to manufacture some of the goods that you might need, as solar panels, batteries, or producing energy, right? Would that be from carbon or whatever sources that might be to produce energy? But yeah, sometimes they need to buy something, right? What would be how much they would pay for it, right? So recently there was a lot of information up there about how much some of the countries are actually paying for some of those resources. Are they paying 10%? Even there were some presidents of there. Since I'm interested in coffee, they mentioned that the person who actually grows coffee, they're getting paid only 10% of in the entire cost. I'm interested to find out what actually the cost that might be actually getting paid just 10%, since there's just a number of companies, organizations at locations where coffee can be grown, and they can potentially increase prices. But is that something that they're interested in? I don't know. I don't know. If they're actually getting paid just 10% of growing a coffee, so who is pocketing the difference? That's why. So, if anything, as a business person, there might be some opportunities there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.